What is up, everybody, and welcome to the All-NBA show powered by FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet at FanDuel.com/All-NBA. I'm your host, Adam Mares. I'm joined by my esteemed colleague, Tim Legler, who is in sort of my neck of the woods here, getting ready to watch his football team. How you doing tonight, Legs?
Good, man. I'm in Kansas City. Monday Night Football coming up. I'm excited, although when I planned the trip, I expected Jaden Daniels to be playing. He's not, so I'm a little worried about what could happen tonight. But it's a pretty cool time. I've never been to Kansas City, Missouri before, man. So this is pretty cool. It's a football town, sports town. Awesome. By the way, are you a history guy? We don't talk about this.
Yeah, a little bit of a history guy, sure.
Are you? I am a big time, and so is my friend who came. And one of the greatest museums I've ever been in my entire life here, the World War I Museum. It's absolutely incredible. If anybody ever makes their way to Kansas City, it's a must. You have to go see this museum. So we spent a good part of the afternoon yesterday doing that. Had incredible barbecue, which they're known for here, steakhouse, and then headed to the game today. So I'm living life right now, man. Enjoying.
How was the barbecue? If you're getting the full experience,
I'm not gonna exaggerate. And when I say that might have been the greatest barbecue I've ever had in my life, and I love barbecue. So and the thing is crazy. I did some research and found a few places, I could always pick out like the touristy places, and I avoid those. Yeah. And so this place was within a 5-minute walk from the hotel. It just happened to be that close. And we walked over there yesterday for lunch, man. And I'm telling you, we were talking about that like all day yesterday, how good that barbecue was.
I love a good barbecue, man. All right, you're living it up in the heartland. We have a great show for you today, man. I'm actually very excited to talk about all of our topics today. We're going to get to Wemby, who is probably the single story of the season so far. We're 1 week in, so we can kind of step back and look at some of these bigger pictures. I think Wemby has been the biggest story. His arrival and the level he's playing at right now is just something we got to talk about. We're also going to talk about 3 things we like. We have not seen each other's list, but we put 3 things we like about the season so far, some under the radar storylines. But we're going to start with a very good game, probably the best game of last night. There were some good games last night. I thought this one was very good, and that is the Cavs and the Bucks. The Cavs got a 118-113 win over the Bucks. They led for good portions of this game, and were basically just able to always keep that lead in the clutch of this game. But there's a lot of notes from it. Legs, where do you want to start with this game?
I think looking at the Cavaliers, they ended up winning the game. They made the plays down the stretch they had to make. I'm looking at this team, right, and we've talked about it a lot heading into the season because of kind of the state of the top of the East. And are some of these teams, we know Cleveland won 64 games last year. You know the Knicks are going to be right there. I think they're going to be the 1 and 2 seeds in the Eastern Conference, barring something crazy happening, but then that next group, we're like, how interesting is Detroit, Orlando, Atlanta, Philly's a massive wild card. I think the Bucks are kind of a wild card. I'm looking at the Cavs and their firepower last night. I think that's the thing that I want to talk about from this game. Okay. Like when they play, and they don't even have Darius Garland yet, but when they play offensively, like the way they did last night, with their ball movement and the plays where the ball touches the paint, comes out, and then goes around the horn. Yeah, it's just such a beautiful thing to watch offensively. There's very few teams in this league that have a prettier offense than the Cleveland Cavaliers in the half court, because they've got a little bit of everything. And this is missing their best playmaker, but they've got bigs that are skilled. They've got a ton of shooting, and then they've got some individual one-on-one guys that can break you down. And that's, to me, what kind of jumped out from this game, because I thought Milwaukee played pretty damn well offensively. And at the end of the day, they didn't have enough to win this game because they couldn't make enough plays down the stretch. And I'm watching Cleveland just going, man, this is going to be a repeat of last year. Now, I don't know if they'll win 64 games, but there's a good chance they'll win 60. Yeah. And they're going to be right there. Now, the difference, though, between past years and this year is this year they absolutely are expected and should be expecting to get to the NBA Finals. And anything short of that should be considered a failure. With the team that they have, running it back, missing a couple guys when they get those guys back particularly. But I think that's what jumped out at him. Just like, this is a machine offensively. They're a machine. And you saw it again last night, and you saw it when they had to have it late in the game. They made all the plays.
Well, I'm going to start off then today's show with one of my, more bold takes about this game. And that is, I absolutely love, I'm a Lonzo Ball fan. I got to be honest. I love guys that make plays, make passes. But I really love his fit on this team for the reason you just said. They move the ball. They have a lot of guys that are unselfish, but also see one play ahead. You plug in a guy who is known for making connecting passes, as well as all the stuff he does on the defensive end. I was watching them last night. I'm not saying he should start for them, Legs, but watching them close this game, and he made big plays, offensive rebounds, connecting passes, getting into the paint and swinging the ball. He made these plays that I watched, and I said, if you're closing, I like Darius Garland. He brings a lot to the table too, does a lot of the same things. But I was sitting there thinking, you're going to play through Donovan Mitchell at the close anyway. He's going to be your lead guy. You're going to have your two bigs. You're going to have a shooter out there. There's one spot open, and to me, I look at it and say, I love Lonzo Ball's length, defense, and connection. And that was my big takeaway. Lonzo Ball makes this team meaningfully more interesting to me and probably meaningfully better.
I'm glad you're such a Lonzo Ball fan, because I always have been too. And I actually, the beginning of his career, I actually was like, kind of felt bad for him in some ways, because there was so much attention paid to his dad, and like all of the stuff when he came into the league. He was very, out front of the camera, and it almost was like the kids were like living in the shadow. And I was kind of like, man, he's really setting the stage for a very difficult thing to live up to for Lonzo Ball. And then you watch him play, and how can you not love the way he plays? The way I would describe his game is he's one of those rare guys that only exists on the court to make you look better as a teammate.
Yep.
That's all he cares about. With his pace, the way he can find you, and then even defensively, the stuff that he does to help you, to the ground he'll cover to like, even when it's not his rotation. And if he sees that someone's not in position to make that rotation, the ground he'll cover to come over to make sure you're not beat off the dribble, and give his body up and use his length, and then a hard closeout to the 3-point line. Just everything about the way the guy plays is what I believe in a basketball player should play, how he should play. So I was glad to see him opening night. That was our first game that Wednesday night in the Garden. And Richard Jefferson and I were both talking about on and off the air. I said, this is going to be one of the more impactful acquisitions in the NBA this year. That you're not going to be blown away by his numbers. I'm talking about just in terms of style and fit and impact. Every night with the way they play, this was a great acquisition on the part of Cleveland Cavaliers. And look, he's going to probably play in that 20 to 25 minutes a night. And I don't think they want to run him into the ground with his injury history. They want to make sure that he's okay. But he's going to be on the floor, Adam, I believe, quite a bit in the fourth quarter of games.
I agree.
To help them close the deal, because he's so smart, the way he connects guys. And then again, he makes plays defensively too.
And one of the things I love about his defense, if he's guarding the ball and the ball goes into the post or to the elbow or somewhere else, he is so quick to go from the ball to a double team if that's what the scheme calls for. It's like he's almost waiting for it. It looks like he's guarding the ball, but he knows in his head what's coming next, and he just immediately sprints before the offense can rotate. So if you're slow to that, you see it coming, you make the pass, you swing it, and everybody's in rotation. But he's just so quick defensively because he sees around the corner. But let me give you a couple stats here. Pace increases by 6 points per 100 possessions when he's on the floor for the Cavs so far this year. Percent of shots at the rim that are assisted goes from 52% to 68%. That's almost a 20% increase. He gets you shots at the rim. I know everybody wants the kick out threes. The kick out threes are almost the second point in the chain. The first point is, can you get to the rim and score? And his connection, his ability, the ball swinging, if the swing passes there, he makes it. If not, he's so good at just getting into the paint, collapsing things, and finding the open guy. So I'm with you. I watch that team and I say, Darius Garland's good. This is no knock on him. he's a little bit more redundant with Donovan Mitchell than Lonzo is. Lonzo does some of the other stuff you need in that connective lineup. The other note I have on here is this is double bigs lineup versus double bigs lineup. And we don't think of Giannis necessarily this way, but Giannis Turner versus Mobley and Allen, the league is subtly and quietly shifting towards this, but it really felt that way last night when you were watching it. Very mobile and versatile bigs going at each other on both ends of the floor.
Yeah, and I mean, I loved your description of the Milwaukee bigs. It's just talk about non-traditional. I mean, one of them is a guy that's going to, basically stretch you out to the 3-point line, and very difficult to deal with him because then he gives you rim protection on the other end. And then you got another guy in Giannis, who I've described in the past as he's really a center coming at you with a live handle. I mean, that's really the way he plays, right? He physically overwhelms you the way that a dominant center would in the way that he scores around the rim, but he's doing it from a face-up starting position, from from the open floor starting position with a live handle. So it's this unique force. And then of course, Allen and Mobley have already had time to kind of refine their chemistry on the court and some of the things they can do, particularly what they can do defensively for that team. I agree with you. And more teams are going to have two bigs out there. We know that. And I love it. I'm glad that we're doing that because I think there was a redundancy around the league with teams playing, a combination of like 4 guard/wings and then a bigger wing at center or one big on the floor at a time, right? Yeah. And we're like, okay, that's what the league is. And that lasted for several years. We trended in that direction, and bigs were having a harder time getting on the floor. It's coming back. But it wouldn't be back to this extent if these guys didn't have the versatility in their games that they do. Like, you're not going to see the two bigs that look like the two bigs when I played, when they were, both guys were down on either edge of the lane all the time. This is different. Like, you can play two bigs, but they better be able to cover ground defensively, one of them at least. And they better have at least one of those guys that's very comfortable out on the perimeter playing offensively. And that's what you saw last night from these two teams.
Well, one of the things I want to ask you about is Myles Turner does some of the things that Brook Lopez does, but he's different. And when I was watching him last night, Myles Turner has a little bit more, I would say, defensive mobility to him. I mean, Brook Lopez was really good at playing positional defense, and he's so long that he could contest, even though he's giving you space. Myles Turner gives them the option to kind of switch even a little bit more, and they just felt more mobile. So my take on Milwaukee is I actually think they have a lineup or two that's really powerful. That's really good. The problem is the lineups behind them. But Giannis and Turner, to me, I see the vision with them both offensively and defensively. But defensively first, I thought that Myles Turner just looks more versatile than what we saw from Brook Lopez. Not necessarily more effective, but more versatile.
Well, when you talk about Brook Lopez, when you want to throw Brook Lopez out there and you're going to attack Brook Lopez off a ball screen, you can only play drop coverage.
Yeah.
And with Myles Turner, you have the option if you want to switch, or if you just want to do like a hard hedge, he laterally is going to be able to keep the ball in front of him until that other guard till the guard recovers. It gets over the screener, goes under, meets him on the other side. With Brook Lopez, it was only drop coverage. And you look, he's an elite rim protector. He has been his entire career, and they want to utilize him for that. But a guy that big and with feet that are heavier is not going to be comfortable out 26 feet from the basket on a ball screen defensively. So you didn't have a choice. You had to put him back in the foul line. And there were nights that they would play certain guards and you wanted to play drop coverage, and that little 15-foot shot, 18-foot shot was available, and they would get punished that way. So Myles Turner does offer you a little bit more versatility on the perimeter. I think in terms of rim protection, it's maybe a wash, slight nod to Brook Lopez, I would say, with his timing and his ability around the rim. But defensively, in terms of versatility and coverages that you can call, Myles Turner gives them more there. And look, if you're going to replace Brook Lopez, who is like a staple for the Bucks on these really good teams, what better way to replicate what he did than to get Myles Turner? And I'm still kind of scratching my head of how this all played out, because he ended up getting the same amount of money that the Pacers should have paid him. Like, it's not like Indiana was saying, we want you back, but, oh man, the Bucks are going to pay you $38 million a year. Like, we're not willing to do that. No, he got like 27. That's what his market value was. Everybody knew that. And Indiana still didn't want to pay him. Yeah. And so he ends up in Milwaukee. And I think he's going to have a really good year. And I think he's going to fit well with Giannis. And I think he's going to have a really strong impact.
their offense together was awesome as well. I mean, a lot of pick and rolls between the two of them. It really is not pick and rolls; it's pick and pop with Turner setting the screen and then popping, and then that gives Giannis the space to kind of attack downhill. That was very effective last night. 2.2 points per possession on those. But so I like the offense. Here's the problem, Legs. I like this Bucks team. I actually watching them. I'm sitting here thinking this team is really good. They can contend in the East, given how weak the East is. And then Giannis came off the floor. And I was like, wow, this team is really bad. And I know it's very simple and redundant, but I think they have. I mean, they needed Gary Trent Jr. to make shots last night. He didn't make them. They really don't have enough guys. You need somebody to go in there and just stretch the floor. Rollins did that. AJ Green did that last night, but Gary Trent couldn't. But the moment Giannis comes off that floor, man, there were some ugly offensive possessions where nobody seemed to know what to do.
Yeah, and that's going to be the challenge. But listen, that leads me into something. I want to ask you a question. Because I was sitting there watching this last night going, this might be the best start to a season of Giannis's career.
It's been incredible.
And he's this deep into his career, and he's doing what he did through the first 3 games. And it got me thinking last night. And one day I think we should do a show on this, talking about current guys in the league, where they're going to end up on the list when you start ranking players historically all time. Because we have Jokic in the league, and yet when you talk to people now, the guy's won 3 MVPs and a title, and when you talk to people and make your list, give me your top 20 guys of all time, he'll probably make the top 20. Nobody really mentions Jokic in the top 10 category. You look at what Giannis.
You got to win. Yeah.
I understand you got to win. I understand that. But, I'm just talking about in terms of what their statistical dominance on a nightly basis. And both guys have won a championship. Both guys have won a finals MVP. Giannis Antetokounmpo had a 50-point game in a closeout game in the finals.
Yeah.
Okay. So I mean, they've done a hell of a lot. I guess it takes multiple championships to get into some of those categories. And also, I know it's hard because I always say this. I challenge people when they want to do their top 10. And I had one of those famous arguments on social media with a guy who was trashing my top 10 that I did because I was forced to do it by like NBA Today or something. And I did it. I got attacked by this guy. I said, well, who's your top 10? And then he proceeded to list 13 players. And I said, that's how you do it. That's my point. This is hard. That's I'm like, you're making my point for me. That's why it's incredibly subjective. Nobody's necessarily wrong. You just got to be really good with your arguments. And I'm just watching him last night, Adam, and I'm going, he doesn't get really talked about in that vein either. And maybe we got to wait till they're done and let's see what the totality of their career looks like and place them. But I think that'll be a fun show to do one day. What guys currently in the league, and you could go as young as you want. Maybe some guys are just starting out.
Yeah, we're going to talk about one soon.
That you think legitimately will be top 20 when it's all done, or top 10 when it's all said and done. And I just was thinking that about Giannis because I'm like, as great as this guy's been, has he ever started a year like this? Look at his number to start the year. What is he averaging? 30? 36, 16, and 7 to start the year.
There's some wild numbers out there right now. Yeah. And the funny thing is, Legs, I thought he was more dominant than the box score showed in this game. That's how bad Milwaukee was when he was off. So I'm with you. I make this case because obviously I'm covering Jokic here in Denver. I just make it all the time. Jokic's already proven everything he needs to prove about how he is as an individual player. Once you get to that top 12, 13, it just comes down to how many times did you get the team over the hump? Because then it comes down to just a handful of moments. Did you have enough moments in the playoffs? And so in my mind, Jokic, Giannis, both of those guys can be there in that conversation you're talking about, top 10, if they can stack another championship. And that's the quest. Real quick before we get out of here, though, with this Cavs team, this sounds like a knock on Mobley. It's sort of a knock, but not really, because he's a great player. He's a plus 16 in this game, 23 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists, 3 steals, 2 blocks. I think he's an incredible defensively, he's so versatile. Offensively, he can do some stuff. Every year there kind of comes into this conversation of, is this the year Mobley breaks out as this offensive player or this or that? And I kind of think, I don't know how you feel, I kind of think his offensive skill set is what he is. And I don't know that he's going to add this crazy 3-point shot or this crazy off the dribble game or whatever. And that's okay. He's still a great, versatile player. Every year you kind of have these conversations about whether he's going to be like the anchor of a team or this or that. And I think his role is sort of what his role will be for his career. He'll just get a little bit better at the margins. Does that feel like a criticism?
So I disagree. I disagree a little bit. And I said about him what you just said before the season. And I love him as a player, but I said literally almost verbatim what you said, whether it was on this show or something else I did. I'm
going to break out.
And then I got into some debates with people that love Mobley, love the Cavs, whatever. And I was like, okay. And I'm going to tell you something. When I was sitting there opening night against the Knicks in the Garden, I was very impressed with what he has added to his handle and escapability on the perimeter. Now, he got some shots off the dribble from deep where he had to go into his bag a little bit with his handle that I had not seen to this point in his career. So I was kind of like, okay, he has added a little bit of that. He's obviously put time in to be able to control the ball with either hand in some of these creative ways to create separation that I never really saw out of him. He was a very good player, but a very basic offensive player in the way that he did it. 1-2 dribble, shoot it, catch and shoot it. Like, maybe straight line dribble drive, 1 or 2 dribbles and at the rim. That's not what I saw that first game on that Wednesday. I was like, he's got more in his bag handle-wise than he did before. So he's worked on that. He's way more comfortable shooting the 3-point shot than he was before. Like that now looks effortless, and it's not an afterthought. He doesn't hesitate on it. Comes off his hand beautifully every time. Here's what I think here's where I will agree with you. There's only so much upside for his numbers. And the reason is because of the team he plays on, the guards he plays with that take a ton of shots. I mean, Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell, between the two of them, most nights are getting close to 40 shots up. Right? And then you've got the shooters that get their share. Jared Allen's, he gets whatever you throw at him. He's just going to shoot 80% from the field every year and just whatever. He just dunks the ball mostly. But so how much more is there to grab in terms of numbers? Like, are you going to look up and watch Evan Mobley 2-3 years from now? He's averaging 24, 25 points a game. I don't think so. And so I think that kind of aligns with your point. But Adam, I will say, I do think he's added stuff to his game. He's just on a team with a ton of weapons, and it gets spread around, and you've got 2 guards that take a lot of shots on that team. So there's only so much more for him to grab offensively. And that's why I think we look up 2 years from now, his numbers will look a lot like they did last year, this year. They're going to be in that 18, 19 points a game range, most likely. Maybe he gets to 20, but I don't know that there's much more beyond that. Now, if he went to a team, he left the Cavs, and went to a bad team and became the focal point, I think Mobley maybe could average 23, 24 points a game on a team like that.
Yeah. Well, let us know in the comments what you think. I'm a little skeptical of that. If you gave him a Lou Dort and a Jalen Suggs or something like that backcourt, could you play through him and have a decent offense? Give him spacing, but could you play through him? I'm skeptical, and that's kind of what I mean. I think you have to give him a Donovan Mitchell. You have to give him that type of player, but he's still, nonetheless, it sounds like a criticism. He's a fantastic player, especially because what he does defensively, and he does have enough offense to be that number 2 or number 3 option, in my opinion. All right, we got to take a break because we got to get to our next topic here, which is, of course, the topic of the season through 1 week, and I have a feeling it's going to be the topic of the season for the entire year, Legs. Victor Wembanyama, already in MVP mode. We're going to go to that on the other side. But first, what are you looking for this week or this weekend? Are you looking for concerts? Are you looking for festivals? Or are you looking for NBA tickets to go watch your favorite team play? Well, I've got a sponsor for you, SeatGeek. Want to give them a huge shout out. They've got over 35 million downloads. SeatGeek is the #1 rated ticketing app. There are more than 70,000 events listed on SeatGeek, including concerts, sports, festivals, and more. The NFL is officially back. You have the NBA season back. NHL, if you're into that, is back. And you can get all of those tickets right there on the SeatGeek app. I love using SeatGeek. You can find out really quickly what the value is of the price. If you hop on, you want to go to a Nuggets game, you can look at the arena and it has all the seats listed. And they'll give you this little scale of 1 to 10 so you know if you're getting a good deal. And it's really easy to use because it'll show you a green dot if it's a good value one. You can't always get great value ones. Sometimes the game's in high demand and you're going to have have to pay a premium, but some nights you can hop on last minute and just look, and you'll see all these little green dots. Green means good. You're going to get a great value for it. Plus, every ticket is backed by their buyer guarantee. And of course, I've got a code for you. You can use the code ALLNBA10 for 10% off your next set of tickets at SeatGeek. That's 10% off of any tickets with promo code ALLNBA10 on the SeatGeek app. Also want to tell you guys about FanDuel. They've got an offer for you that you don't want to miss this NFL season. New customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet $5, and if it wins, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use all across the app. You can build parlays, bet player props, ride the live lines, whatever your style, FanDuel has you covered. The NFL season is here. The only question is, are you ready to play? Visit FanDuel.com/AllNBA to download the FanDuel app today and get started. Must be 21 or older and present in select states. For Kansas in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino, or 18 plus and present in D.C. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit fanduel.com/RG. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York. All right, back here, segment 2 of the All NBA show. Make sure you're subscribed. You also make sure you're subscribed on your podcast app. So if you ever miss it on YouTube, you can hop on your podcast app. Also, it just helps us grow the show. You can get that Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. All right, Legs, the single story of the NBA season so far, if we had to pick just one, in my opinion, has got to be Victor Wembanyama. He also had a game last night. He went for 31 points, 14 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals, 6 blocks. You could argue it's his worst stat line of the season because he's had 3 incredible stat lines. And I'm just going to throw it to you first because I want to know what you think of him. But I'm going to tell you right now, we're going to get to, I think if we were doing an MVP rankings right now, I think he would be number 1. I know it's 1 week. It's a little early to do MVP rankings, but if we were doing it, I think he's been the most valuable player in the league through 1 week.
I agree. I agree with that. And there's some guys that had great starts. And actually, I don't know that I can recall a first week of the season, and we're not even a full week in yet, that with guys putting up these kind of numbers to start the year. Think about, we've got 2 guys that are very good players but are at probably like third options on their team at best, that have had 50-point games.
Yeah.
Aaron Gordon and Austin Reeves have had 50-point games to start the year. Okay. Some of these other guys you expect to start, almost Wemby and Curry, these guys, Luka, these guys, they're used to doing that to people. And then you have Wemby. First of all, I think I agree with your statement because they're 3-0. They haven't really played a top shelf team. Dallas, a good team. The other 2 teams are bottom feeder teams.
Yeah, we got to wait a little.
I'm not trying to. I'm going to set this up. I'm not trying to denigrate what Wemby's done at all, but I'm saying I expected San Antonio to be in the 500-ish range this year, and maybe that's where they end up. It's really early. I'm not going to make some crazy hot take statement about the Spurs, but 3-0 out of the gate for a team that I thought was going to be kind of in that fight for like play-in territory. 3-0 out of the gate, the way he's looked, is a strong case for what you just said. And it's funny, we're talking MVP 3 games in, but this is something we do all the time in this industry. I think you're right because of what you expected out of the Spurs. They got a lot of young guys on that team that are playing a lot of minutes. And then you've got, Wemby in the middle, all kind of wanted to see, like, what does he look like here in year 3? Well, we've seen it. And it is, I don't know, there's a more absurd 15-minute highlight clip that you can watch of a player than what you've seen out of the first 3 games. If you just watched that, go Google that, find it on YouTube, and look at just the highlights of Victor Wembanyama in the first 3 games of the season and tell me you've ever seen anything quite like that.
33 points, 13 rebounds, 6 blocks. And here's the reason I think this has staying power, Legs, because you are right. It's 1 week. It's a little silly. But here's why it has staying power. His defense is, and this is the case his rookie year, his second year, even more so this year, just by virtue of being on the court, Legs, he is a walking 100 defensive rating. when he's on the court, you're not scoring at a high level. His offense is the part you're going to have to question. His offense is off to a great start, but he blocked 9 shots the other day. He had 6 shots last night. He just gets blocks so easily. And the thing that I think is different, if you ask what's different about him from years past, strength is the easy operative word. He's added strength, but the strength comes in the form of balance. His balance is he's harder to knock off his spots on both ends, offense and defense. But defensively, that just means you can't really push him out of the way or get him off, tilt him to one side and go around him the other side. His balance is so strong that he is just blocking everything, keeping everything in front of him. And I just think the Spurs are going to have a great defense by virtue of him being on the floor a lot.
You described that very well, because you're right. People throw out strength. I would use the term functional strength to be able to play through contact, but it really, all of that, what that translates to is being on balance more, right? And taking the shot you want more than what they're trying to get you to do with some of your off balance or leaning or drifting. And that is going to make the ball move an inch or two on the way to the rim, and that's going to create a miss. Those shots are going in now because he's not drifting to that extent. He's getting up and down when he needs to stay on balance. That's one area that he's significantly improved. And that is what they said about him before the season, how much stronger he'd gotten. You could see it, what he's playing through. There's a second area. He's meaner. He's just meaner. He's tougher. He's not this young foreign-born player coming into the league with all this hype and kind of almost like not sure what to do on the court, and deferring a little bit and spending so much time his rookie year on the perimeter. And by design, they weren't really running stuff for him his first year because they wanted to ease him in without the pressure and looking bad because he was trying to force it. So they literally didn't run anything for the guy his first year by design. And they didn't care about winning games at all. They were just developing Victor Wembanyama. That was the whole game plan. And then you go to year 2, you see a step forward. And then, of course, he goes down with the blood clot. And now this is our first look at him. So he's added not only the strength, he's added an edge to his demeanor where he wants to rip your heart out. And I'm going to give you 2 examples of how he's done that early in the year. And it's if you go back and look at, even if you just looked at the highlights from the Dallas game and the New Orleans game, and watch the body language and basically the effort of Anthony Davis and Zion Williamson, because they got demoralized.
Wow.
And you're talking about Anthony Davis is one of the top 10 probably all around players in the NBA. Zion is this massive talent, but he hasn't been able to really stay healthy and everything else. I'm telling you, look at the body language, particularly like Zion. It jumped out to me where he's getting his shot beat up repeatedly at the rim. Watch his effort then after those plays getting to the other end of the floor. Watch his effort guarding Wembanyama when Wemby went around him a couple times with a tricky handle and then dunked at the end of it. And he basically quit on the play. And he did it to Anthony Davis. Now, he didn't do it to AD until the game was like 20, 25-point game. But there's plays in the second half of that game where Anthony Davis looked like he basically submitted to this situation. So do you want to talk about the sign of dominance? When you're doing that to guys on that level, that is a statement, and that speaks to Victor Wembanyama's intent this year, which is to decimate this league. And he didn't necessarily have that his first years because he was young. Something has clicked with this guy. With maybe it is the strength, Adam. He feels like he can hold his ground better. So now he's just tougher, and he wants to go right at you and embarrass you on both ends of the floor. And through 3 games, he's done that.
Yeah. I think demoralize is so tough. I think that first Anthony Davis game was very weird. I would say that he had a weirdness to the way he approached that entire game. I would say with Zion, what I thought I saw was more puzzled than demoralized. I mean, it's kind of the same thing in a lot of ways, but you saw Zion in years past. You would see a guy like Zion, a strong, burly guy, just try to push him off and bury him under the basket and then get to their spots and score. And you saw him a couple times try to do that, but Wemby couldn't move him. And so then when he would go up, Wemby obviously is going to block you. If you can't bury him, he's going to block you. And I thought that's what I saw from Zion is he tried a few times, get blocked, and you could almost look at him like, okay, well, what do I do now? If I can't push him around, what do I do?
No,
And then
you're 100% right, and I think that's like so. And look, there's a lot of there's very few guys. There's nobody like Victor Wembanyama in the NBA. But even like length that'll bother Zion because of that level of length. So he's able to do the things you're talking about. He can displace you with his shoulder enough so that he can then finish, because he's got a great array of finishing shots that aren't dunks. He's got great touch on the move. And that to me is what always stood out about him, even going back to his year at Duke. I was like, none of this matters, this stuff with Zion, if he can't make these plays where he gets English on the ball up high off the glass over guys. That really, the combination of the power plus that. But against Wemby, he can't even get the ball to those positions to release it because Wemby is so much length. And it kind of just took his will a little bit in that game, more so him than AD. But look, like I said, with AD, I didn't sense it until the game got a little bit out of hand, and it was obvious they weren't winning the game. But and I think at that point, Anthony Davis was probably just thinking like, okay, let's just get on to game 2. Like, we're not going to win this game. But there were still plays at that point in the second half where Wemby kind of went right at him. And it's amazing to see a guy, because have you ever seen Anthony Davis in person? The guy is the size of a mountain, and he just looked small. That's what Wemby does to people. It's absurd. So do you want to talk about the sign of true dominance? It's that. It's not only putting up numbers and winning the game. It's in a lot of ways like literally demoralizing you, dispiriting you as a team. And that's what Wemby has done through 3 games. Now, what do they got coming up? Toronto, Miami, at home, at Phoenix. Man,
some more easy ones, more winnable ones.
Start, man. And now you're like, whoa, look at the Spurs. And then you got Lakers, Houston. I'm looking forward to those 2 back-to-back. The Lakers, Houston games. And
Houston in particular, man.
No doubt about it. And see, we know what does a great defensive team like Houston have in store for this guy, and a team that plays 2 bigs.
Plays big, yep. And
the guy, listen, man, the guy deserves every bit of the tension and the platitudes that he's getting to start the year. I don't think any of this is hyperbole of what we're watching with this guy. And now you go, what the potential could be, and his dominance of this league for a long time off the start he's had. I don't think you're getting ahead of yourself.
Well, here's the hyperbole part, Legs, and maybe you can rein me in a little bit. I think that he has a great chance to be in the MVP conversation this year. I know we're talking about week 1 MVP or whatever, but I think if you just extrapolate it, I think he has a great chance. And here's why. His numbers on bad nights, people got upset at me over the weekend. We talked Wemby just a little bit, very briefly. And I said the game against the Pelicans was a good, not great game. And he had 9 blocks. He had a crazy stat line, 9 blocks. And in today's NBA, your top 10 players in the league can have great stat lines and not have great nights. And I thought that was a good but not great game. He's averaging 6 block shots. He's averaging 13 rebounds right now. Even if those numbers come down marginally, I don't see a world where he averages fewer than 4 blocks a game. 4 blocks is huge. And then on top of that, what's his numbers? Let's say his scoring comes down a little bit, gets down to 26 points per game. 26 points, 10 rebounds, 6 block shots. Those are numbers that impact the game. And the one thing that holds you back from MVP is if your team isn't doing well enough. But I watch this Spurs team that's just 3-0, and I say, I think that this team is looking, with him on the floor, this team is looking like a team that can escape the play-in and just be a regular playoff team. So I think he has a great chance of being in that conversation this year. Maybe not finishing first, maybe finishing first, but certainly being one of the guys that is in that top 3 or so, just by how dominant he is on the defensive end and how growingly consistent he's becoming on the offensive end.
I can't disagree with you. Another thing that stood out about their team a little bit, and this is mostly about Wemby right now, but just you got to give a mention to what Dylan Harper looks like to start the year.
Unbelievable.
All right, so, and this dude,
your guy,
this dude. I mean, he's got the whole package. And think about it. He's coming in as a rookie on a team. Now, you don't have Fox, but like you got the reigning rookie of the year that basically plays like the same spot, and you're doing what you're doing. Dylan Harper, putting up 16 a game. He led them in assists, had 8 assists in a game. He's going to be, I'd say, almost a lock for me for all rookie team. but he's going to get votes for Rookie of the Year when this is all said and done. So not only do you have last year's Rookie of the Year, who I love, Stein Castle, I just love his toughness. And now you got Wemby, who knows what his year is going to look like. And now you got Dylan Harper, another rookie coming into the league. Spurs now have become quickly here in the first week of let people know this is must watch on League Pass. Like, you got to watch the Spurs now every night to see what is going to happen. James, I got a question for you. Do you think Wemby would have, let's say he plays, I don't know, what would be a really number you'd be happy with in terms of games played for Wemby this year?
65.
Okay. 65 games. So then if he does that, I was thinking, can he possibly break the single season block record?
Oh, man.
And I'm going to tell you, he ain't doing it.
Really? Okay.
Do you know what the single season block record is and who has it?
I don't know. I mean, I would guess it would have been Wilt if they tracked it back then, but I don't know what the number the official number
That's
is.
true. They didn't, who knows what Bill Russell's block numbers look like in Wilt Chamberlain, right? But you got to just go by when they started keeping it, which since 1973-74. That's when it really started. Mark Eaton.
Oh, yeah, 7'4".
In the 84-85 season had 456 blocks. So if Wemby were to play, let's say Wemby played 70 games. We gave him the benefit of the doubt. He's going to have to average over 6 a game.
So he's actually behind pace at the moment, which is crazy.
That's absurd. And I played against some of these dudes, man. I played with Eaton and against them. Manute Bol. Yeah. Hakeem, of course. Hakeem was always the one for me. That was always the hardest guy to get a shot off at the rim when I played. But yeah, I just wanted to let people know, give Mark Eaton.
Give him some shine.
That number, 456 blocks. So I don't know, Wemby, even if he played all 82 games, he'd have to average almost 6 a game.
Which is what he's at right now, and it feels like he's blocked everything. So you're right. That doesn't feel very realistic. Nonetheless, you know what? Just look at that per game number. That'll be impressive enough. He's already averaged 3.8 last year, and at 33 minutes. We'll see what he does this year, but he is unbelievable. And by the way, Dylan Harper and him, it's so early in the year. Some of these numbers are going to fluctuate. 83.7 defensive rating when they're both on the floor. That means you don't score. You're scoring hardly any points. Now, there's not even 100 possessions, so this number will change over time. But you do wonder, Wemby's going to protect the paint, perimeter defense, on-ball defense. If you ramp that up, nobody's going to score on this team. If you can't get around the first line of defense, and if you have the greatest shot blockers,
here's the thing, Adam. We advance technology all the time. The next advancement in technology, hopefully during the course of the first 5-6 years of Wemby's career, is we're going to be able to somehow create something that we can read the thoughts of offensive players to understand the true impact defensively of Victor Wembanyama, because all we know are blocks and physical alters. You can track that stuff. What you can't track is the guys on the perimeter catching a swing pass, and in a night they would normally attack the rim on that swing, not even thinking about it. Okay, so that's the true measure of this guy's impact, and we'll never know the answer to that. I can do it if I'm calling a game, because I'm going to just say that on the air. I'm telling you right now, player X would have caught that ball and drove baseline on that swing because he had the angle, but he ain't doing it with Victor Wembanyama on the court.
There's going to be a lot of guys walking onto the court saying, you know what, I'm feeling my jumper tonight. Just feeling it. I'm feeling my jumper.
Or if you're big, feeling like, man, I got a little case of the stomach flu, I think. I don't know if I can go.
I don't want to go out there and get blocked 8 times at the rim. I'm not built for this. All right. Let's get into something I'm kind of excited for here. We're going to finish the show today by talking about 3 things we like about the season so far. Make sure you throw us a like if you're enjoying the show. We're doing this 2 times a week with Legler, 3 times a week total. 3 things we like about the season. I'll go first.
Okay.
I am loving the Jaime Jaquez third-year resurgence.
I like
only a couple games, 15.7 points per game, and he's 0 for 4 on threes. First of all, he hasn't made a 3, but he's only taken 4 because that's no longer the game. He's not trying to do it. He's trying to get into the mid-range. He's posting up. Miami has this new offense where they're not running a ton of pick and roll. They're actually just trying to get, like, they're almost playing like Memphis was last year, where it's a lot of space out and let your one-on-one players try to get into the teeth of the defense. It's suited for him. He's a one-on-one player. He's got a nice crafty game, and he's been great through these first 2 games. He has this joy to him. He has this cleverness to him, and he's one of my favorite players. He had a down year last year, and I thought, maybe he was a flash in the pan. I'm glad to see that he's having a bounce back.
I love this one. I'm glad you mentioned this. He wasn't in the 3 that I'm going to go with, but he was. I thought about it, and I'll go a step further about what I saw last year. I was really concerned, like that this guy was like headed toward a place where we didn't even know about him anymore in a couple of years. He looked so heavy and sluggish last year. He did not look like he had any confidence. I was shocked because I loved his rookie year and just like his maturity level and the trust they placed in him to close games and how much responsibility he had because how smart he is on the court, how versatile of a player at both ends. And then he had last year and just like, wait a second. So great bounce back, great resurgence. This is a guy that put a lot of work in the offseason, and he wants to be a player in this league and make his mark and have a long career of high productivity and contributing to winners. I think he may have gotten himself back on track.
Love it. All right. Give us your first one.
All right. My first one is the Bulls start. From this standpoint, going into the year, we had the list of teams, and they were all pretty much the same for just about anybody that looked at the Eastern Conference. You said you got Cleveland, New York at the top. You got that next group of teams that were interesting. Orlando, Detroit, Atlanta got a lot of hype. Then, of course, you had Sixers and Milwaukee, right? These were the teams that we're talking about. Chicago Bulls just played 2 of those teams. All right.
Play Atlanta tonight, too.
Detroit and Orlando. And now you got Atlanta. 3 teams out of the gate that got a lot of talk in the summer. And Chicago's already beaten Detroit and Orlando. And they've done it with like really, really good production and balance up and down their roster. Giddey's had a great start. Vucevic has had a great start. Dosunmu's played well. Kevin Huerter played well. Trey Jones. They have done it collectively and done it all without Kobe White. So to take these 2 teams that I like a lot, Detroit and Orlando, I think they do have a chance to be 3rd, 4th in the East maybe, and come out of the gate, man, and beat both of those teams to start the year. Impressed with the Bulls.
I like that one. And I didn't even realize that that's who they had beaten, because you're right. When we talk about those teams, the next one up, the Bulls were right there, but everyone's like, yeah, but they're going to stay where they are. To beat Orlando, to beat Detroit, both of those teams, by the way, pretty good wins, like comfortable wins. I know the Detroit one was a little bit closer, but they controlled. And now a chance to do it to Atlanta would be a nice little statement. Good shout out. I'm going to go with my next one. Teams playing 10-man rotations. This is, to me, one of the big takeaways of the early part of the season. And I think we talked about it in the offseason. Indiana and OKC both make the finals. The teams that make the finals oftentimes set the trend. Well, they go deep into their rotations. You talk about how exhausting 82 games is, but then the playoffs have become exhausting as well. And you need to be able to have fresh teams. Almost everybody is going to a 10-man rotation right now, Legs. They're picking up further up the floor than they have in years past. Our guy AOP on our social media handle, by the way, make sure you're following us on Twitter. So many great stat graphics, but he's been highlighting this. Teams are picking up further up the court. That's exhausting. To do that, you need to play 10, 11 guys, and it seems almost every team is trying to do that. And by the way, this might be part of the new CBA as well. The new CBA, you can't spend a ton of money. You're going to spend it on the top, 6, 7 guys. So teams, I think, have a little bit more flatness between their 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 guys. So they just play them all and use them to exhaust the other team.
All right, I'm gonna make one comment on this. I agree with what you're saying. It's going around the league right now. Here's one thing that also is helping that situation and allowing that situation. There are more teams than ever before starting the year with main guys, key guys, in some cases stars, in some cases major rotational players injured.
Yep.
Every team in the league's got 2, 3 guys out. So as a result, right here off the bat, you don't have a choice, and you're going to extend it. And they're going to be guys that are going to get a little bit of an opportunity here early in the year, and maybe it dries up, maybe it doesn't. Maybe you prove yourself to an extent where there's going to be more minutes for you at some point down the road than you would have thought. But regardless, the door has been opened for like these guys that are sitting there at the 9, 10, 11, 12th spot slated in to start the year that are getting minutes because there's guys missing out of all of these rotations. Just about every team in the league. Some teams, multiple guys not playing to start the year that are going to be major contributors. So it's allowed that coaches to go a little deeper into their rotation to start the year and take a look at some guys, and I think it's great.
Yeah. All right, what do you got next?
Next is the Sixers backcourt. Look,
Edgecombe.
Can you be any better than Maxey and Edgecombe have been to start the year? And they get 2 wins. Embiid, who knows? That's could end up being a real mess. I don't know exactly what's going to happen with Joel Embiid. First game goes like 1 for 9. It's productive in game 2, but on his massive minutes restriction. Paul George not playing. This cloud is just cast over this organization. When you look at Paul George again not playing to start the year, Joel Embiid, who knows what his year is going to be. So where's the breath of fresh air going to come from? Well, Maxey always provides that because he not only his game, but he plays with that smile and he's having fun, and people love him in Philadelphia. But now you go out and you pair him with a guy that's like athletically similar to Westbrook, but a much better shooter. And I'm not saying he's going to have a good as career as Russell Westbrook, because I love Westbrook and he's an absolute Hall of Famer. And what that guy's done in this league is incredible. But I'm just saying, like, athletically, he's a lot of that, and he can shoot. And what those 2 guys have done, combining for 58 points a game to start the year. One guy, a young guard that's established, and another guy's a rookie. With all of the doubt about this team going into the year, they're a breath of fresh air to start the year, man. And people in Philly are so excited about both of those guys.
Edgecombe, it's the weird thing about them right now is that Embiid has been the anchor of that team, and he had a bounce back game in that second game. He's been the anchor. He's a little bit more slow. You're going to dump the ball into him. You're going to let him do his thing. Edgecombe and Maxey are lightning fast, and you kind of wonder, are you going to be able to balance those 2 things, or is this team moving in a new direction to where Embiid has to fit into that style, and maybe he's a lower usage player? It's way too early to say they have to know that right now. But that is at least the interesting thing about Philadelphia is I don't know what they are or what they're going to grow into, because it seems to work being between Maxey and Edgecombe.
One quick thing on that, just to put it in perspective, the start they've had. No Paul George at all. Joel Embiid is the 5th leading scorer on the team, and they're 2-0.
And they're 2-0.
There we go.
Exciting, man. My last one I have for you is the rookie class contributing to wins. So this piggybacks a little bit off of this, but this rookie class, remember, it was like, we don't know. The next rookie class is going to be the great one. We got Cooper Flagg, and then we don't know what's going to happen. VJ Edgecombe, 24.5 points per game, 37% on 8 threes a game to go with 6.5 rebounds, 5.5 assists, absolutely contributing to winning on that team. How about Cedric Coward? Over the weekend, did Memphis find another gem with the 11th pick? Have you seen the highlights of it? Because I don't think he was on our radar legs coming into the year, or at least not that much. But have you seen the highlights of his shot? It is so incredibly balanced. That guy has just such a beautiful looking jumper, everything he does. Real quickly, I have some more on this, but I'm just curious. You're the shot doctor. When I watch his shot, I go, yeah, that looks like a shot that should go in every time.
Yeah, he's got great. What I describe it as like rhythm on his shot and pace. It's everything is very sequential the way it's supposed to happen, and nothing looks rushed. It's at his discretion. He's very, very confident, and when he releases the ball. Agreed. We didn't talk about him at all going into the season, and I love this point overall. This was actually was my 4th thing listed. I went with the top 3. This was the next one for me. Same thing. A lot of guys around the league doing that. And who knows what it's going to look like, 20 games from now. We can revisit this and see if it maintains itself. But more guys, and again, getting more opportunity to start of the year because some guys are out. And now you get a chance to get your feet wet a little bit sooner than you normally would.
Cooper Flagg, Dylan Harper, Trey Johnson, who's an absolute bucket getter. I'm very excited about him. He did tell me about him.
I didn't take him as one of my guys because I'm like, I felt almost like I was cheating the game because he's too good. He was the best natural scorer I saw in Vegas. It was so easy for him. And I was like, this guy's going to, right off the bat, this guy's going to get like 15 a game immediately in this league and do it efficiently too.
A nice little young core. Washington all of a sudden with him and Keyshawn George. I don't know if you saw him over the weekend. I didn't want to bring it up, but he had himself a nice weekend. Con Knappel, by the way, another guy with just a great balance on his shot with some confidence. He's had a couple of nice games. Will Richard, And there's a whole bunch more. So the rookie class contributing right out of the gate is pretty impressive.
Good one. I like that one. And my last one, and I don't know if it's going to continue, so that's why I'm going to give him a shout out now, because I don't know if it's going to continue. But if it does continue, and I think it's one of the main keys to this team living up to the potential they have, which I have already put everybody on notice that this team is back in the mix to contend in the Western Conference. I'm going to give Jonathan Kuminga a shout out specifically in one area. He's rebounding the ball. He's rebounding the ball, man. He's going, and that's a big part of why they had a frustration with him and why it always feels like he's auditioning. Despite the crazy athletic ability and the talent and some of the stuff he's done for them since he's been in the league, and people get frustrated why he's not playing more, and you don't know it. What's going on behind the scenes? It's the winning type plays that Steve Kerr sees a Podziemski make, and he wishes Kuminga would do some of that stuff because Podziemski's one of the best rebounding guards for his size in the league. Kuminga, for his career, his rebounding numbers never made sense to me. Like, why is this dude getting 4 rebounds a game when he's that athletic and he's playing more than half the game? It doesn't make any sense because it's just got to be a concentration thing and a want to go impose your will and use your size and athletic ability on the glass. Every possession, don't drift out on a defensive rebound possession. Don't fail to crash the boards when you've got a running lane when somebody takes a 3, because it's going to be a lot harder to run to the other end if you don't get it. You can't take those shortcuts, and he's not doing that so far to start the year. His rebounding numbers are almost double what they've been. And it's playing more, 5-6 minutes a game more, which helps, but it's more than that. I've watched all 3 of their games. He's not doing the things I just said with the drifting mentally and not making that winning play to go after the ball and still sprint back if you don't get it, right? And he's doing that. And it's a big – they need Kuminga to be really good, man, every night, all night, and be consistently good for them to live up to the potential that I've described. I think that team has. He's key, and he's done it so far to start the year.
If he keeps it up, that Warriors team is a legitimate tier 1 contender, in my opinion. It really he's the X factor on that team, and he's been great through week 1. They've been great through week 1, so there you go. Let us know in the comments, by the way, what things have you enjoyed about the season so far? Maybe give us 1. You can give us 3, but I'm always curious, the little niche things that people have enjoyed about the year so far. We always see those comments below. Let's get out of here, Legs, with our Fan Duels of the Night segment. We're going to check in on our favorite duels of the night with FanDuel. You can download the app and use the code ALLNBA to receive $300 in bonus bets when you deposit $5 at sign up. And we've got, here are the games I've got my eye on. There's a lot of good ones tonight, actually, Legs. I wish we were doing a show tomorrow. You've got Nuggets at Wolves, which is always a good one. I don't know if Anthony Edwards is going to play. Denver's favored by 5.5, so I'm guessing that line tells us that Anthony Edwards is not playing tonight. Cavs at Pistons, 2 teams that are 2-1. I think that one will be great. You've got Magic at Sixers, which I like a lot. This is a really good matchup here. A good test for the Sixers. Hawks at Bulls, as we mentioned earlier, is a great one. Let's see, what else do we have here that's interesting? Thunder at Mavs could be interesting. Grizzlies at Warriors. I like that one a lot. Blazers at Lakers. So of those games, which ones are you most interested in?
I'm interested. Put that back up there, James. I'm interested in almost all of them. It's easier for me to say the ones I'm not interested in. I'm not interested in Nets Rockets. I'm not interested in Celtics Pelicans, other than if Boston loses that game and they're off to an 0-4 start. Wow. I am interested in, of course, Raptors Spurs. I'm not interested in Suns Jazz that much.
Yeah.
And
Jazz has been playing well, though, man.
I think this is really, really solid. But let's be honest here, Adam. You can put me back on camera now, James.
Yeah.
The people want to see me talk to Adam about this. I'm glad we don't have a show tomorrow. I'm really glad we don't have a show tomorrow, because the only game I care about tonight is my Washington Commanders at the Kansas City Chiefs. Okay, that's the only game. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm doing this show from a hotel in Kansas City, and I will watch.
You're locked in.
People, just so you know, Adam knows this. I do my due diligence. Whatever games I need to see from this slate tonight, I will catch up tomorrow, and I'll be ready on Wednesday for anything we need to talk about that happens tonight. But I'm being real. I'm going to be at Arrowhead Stadium for the first time, and probably watching the Commanders get beat up pretty good. That's my guess.
There's nothing like getting ready for your team knowing that it's going to be an uphill battle. Cue that outro music. I think we got a couple super chats there. couple of them come in here, James? Maybe not. Oh, yep. Acade says, is San Antonio top 4 West team? I don't know if they're going to be top 4, but I'm not ready to say that just yet. The West has too many good teams.
At the end of the year, 4th? I mean, let's not get ahead of ourselves. This is a great start. Let's just take it one step at a time.
I'll tell you what, I could see top 6 though, just because of how hard they are to score against, and if you're hard to score against in the regular season, you can escape that play-in. I'm excited to see, but they are going to be tested here. Maybe not this week, but in the following weeks they're going to be tested. What a great show! I'm so glad everybody tuned in. Make sure you let people know about us. Help us grow this show. We love talking hoops. We're going to be back on Wednesday talking more hoops about the things that happen in the next 48 hours. So make sure you're subscribed wherever you get your podcasts. Hit that like button on the way out. We'll see.
We all silly like the mayor.